there is a secret that has been hidden from many faithful souls, a truth that could transform your spiritual life forever. In the silence of your heart, where only God can hear, there exists a weapon so powerful that hell trembles at its sound. Yet so many wield it without knowing its true strength. The Rosary, dear soul, is not merely a prayer. It is a spiritual sword that can cut through the darkness of this world and bring heaven itself to your aid. But here lies the mystery that few dare to speak. There are invisible chains that bind this sacred weapon, errors so subtle that even the most devout commit them unknowingly. As you hold those blessed beads in your hands, as you whisper the familiar prayers, you may be unknowingly blocking the very graces you seek. The Virgin Mary waits to pour her blessings upon you, but these hidden obstacles stand in the way like walls built by your own hands. Tonight, as you prepare to enter this journey of discovery, let this truth echo in your soul. Mary's love breaks every chain. This is not just a beautiful phrase, it is a spiritual reality that can revolutionize your prayer life. But first, you must recognize the chains that you yourself have forged, the errors that have been silently stealing the power from your most sacred moments with Our Lady. The question that should pierce your heart is this: how many graces have you lost? How many miracles have been delayed? How many moments of divine protection have slipped away because of these hidden errors? The answer lies ahead, and with it, the key to unleashing the full supernatural power that God intended your rosary to possess. You know that feeling, don't you? That restless ache in your chest when you finish your rosary and somehow feel empty. You've said the words, you've counted the beads, you've completed the mysteries, yet your soul remains parched like a desert, thirsting for rain. This is not coincidence, dear child of God. This is the symptom of a deeper spiritual malady that affects countless believers who approach the rosary with the wrong heart. The world has taught us to measure everything by quantity, by completion, by the feeling of having done our duty. So you rush through the Hail Marys like items on a grocery list, checking off each decade as if you were completing a spiritual transaction with heaven. But the Virgin Mary does not deal in religious commerce. She deals in love, in relationship, in the intimate communion between a mother and her child. When you treat her rosary as a religious obligation rather than a love letter, you close your heart to the very graces it was designed to release. This spiritual hunger grows stronger each day because deep within, your soul recognizes that something essential is missing. You see others speak of miraculous healings through the rosary, of protection from danger, of profound peace and conversion. Yet these fruits seem distant from your own experience. The error is not in your desire for these blessings. The error lies in approaching the Mother of God as if she were a celestial vending machine, rather than the tender heart who carried love itself in her womb. Consider Saint Louis de Montfort, who would spend hours contemplating a single mystery of the Rosary, allowing each word to penetrate his heart like arrows of divine love. He understood what many have forgotten. The Rosary's power lies not in its completion, but in its capacity to unite your heart with Mary's and through her, with Christ himself. Are you seeking the gift or the giver? Are you counting beads or encountering the living God? In the profound silence of his cell, Saint Dominic heard something that would change the course of Christian history forever. It was not thunder from heaven or a voice of many waters. It was the gentle whisper of the Mother of God, offering him a weapon that would defeat the Albigensian heresy and save countless souls. The Rosary was born not from human devotion but from divine intervention, a gift from Mary herself to her struggling children on earth. But here is where the first devastating error creeps into so many hearts. You pray the Rosary as if it were your idea, your initiative, your gift to God. You approach those sacred beads thinking you are doing something for heaven, when in reality, heaven has already done everything for you. The Rosary is not your prayer to Mary. It is Mary's prayer through you, her voice speaking through your lips, her heart beating within your chest as you meditate on the life of her Son. When you understand this fundamental truth, everything changes. You are no longer the one striving to reach God through repetitive words. You become the instrument through which the Mother of God continues her eternal intercession. Your voice joins the angelic chorus that never ceases to proclaim her blessedness. Your meditation becomes a participation in her own contemplation of the mysteries of salvation. Mary's love breaks every chain, including the chain of spiritual pride that makes you think the Rosary's effectiveness depends on your performance. Pope Pius IX once said that no one can be saved without the intercession of Mary, and nowhere is this intercession more powerful than in the Rosary. But you must come with empty hands and a humble heart, recognizing that you are not the one praying. You are simply allowing the Queen of Heaven to pray through you. How different would your Rosary be if you began each decade by saying, "Mary, pray with me, pray through me, let my voice be yours." The moment you recognize your errors is the moment your spiritual awakening begins. But do not expect this journey to be without struggle. Your soul, accustomed to the comfortable patterns of mediocre prayer, will resist the deeper intimacy that the Rosary demands. This resistance is natural, even necessary. It is the spiritual labor pain that precedes the birth of authentic devotion. The second grave error that nullifies the Rosary's power is the error of spiritual multitasking. How often do you find yourself praying while your mind wanders to tomorrow's responsibilities, while your eyes scan the room for distractions, while your heart remains divided among 1,000 earthly concerns? You cannot serve two masters, and you cannot receive the fullness of Mary's intercession while your attention is scattered like seeds on rocky ground. True Rosary prayer demands what the mystics call recollection, the gathering of all your faculties into a single point of focus on the divine. This is not merely a matter of concentration. It is a matter of love. When you truly love someone, you give them your complete attention. When the Mother of God invites you into the sacred mysteries of her Son's life, death, and resurrection, she deserves nothing less than the totality of your being. Begin this transformation today by choosing a sacred space for your Rosary, a place where the world cannot intrude. Hold those beads not as objects but as instruments of grace. Before you speak the first word, gather your scattered soul into the presence of Mary and say with all sincerity, "Mother, I am here. All of me is here. Speak to my heart as I meditate on your Son." Only then will you begin to experience the Rosary as it was meant to be experienced, not as a recitation but as a revolution of the heart. There comes a moment in every sincere soul's journey when the things of this world begin to taste like ash in your mouth. The pleasures that once satisfied now leave you empty. The achievements that once motivated now seem hollow. The relationships that once fulfilled now reveal their limitations. This divine dissatisfaction is not depression. It is awakening. It is your soul recognizing that you were made for something infinitely greater than what this world can offer. The third error that destroys the Rosary's effectiveness is precisely this: praying for things too small. You approach the Mother of the King of Kings with requests that barely scratch the surface of your deepest needs. You ask for health when you need holiness, for comfort when you need conversion, for temporal solutions when your soul cries out for eternal transformation. Mary's love breaks every chain, but you must allow her to break the chains that truly bind you, not just the ones that inconvenience you. Saint Thérèse of Lisieux understood this profound truth when she declared that she would spend her heaven doing good on earth. Her prayers were not confined to her immediate needs or even her earthly lifetime. They reached into eternity itself. When you pray the Rosary with such expansive vision, when you allow Mary to show you the vast horizons of grace that she wants to pour into your life, you begin to participate in the cosmic battle between good and evil, between grace and sin, between heaven and hell. Stop asking for band-aids when you need surgery. Stop requesting temporary relief when you need permanent transformation. The Rosary has the power to remake you from the inside out, to conform you to the image of Christ Himself, to prepare you for the eternal wedding feast of the Lamb. But you must trust Mary enough to let her give you what you truly need, even when it requires the painful death of who you used to be. Are you brave enough to pray not just for your comfort, but for your sanctification? Something sacred happens when you finally quiet the noise of your own agenda and allow the silence to speak. In that holy stillness, with the Rosary beads warm in your hands and your heart finally surrendered to Mary's maternal care, You begin to hear what has always been there, the gentle voice of love calling your name, inviting you deeper into the mystery of divine intimacy. The fourth error that robs your rosary of its power is the error of spiritual deafness. Praying without listening, speaking without receiving, asking without waiting for an answer. You fill every moment with words, every silence with distraction, every pause with anxiety about whether you're doing it right. But the most profound moments of the rosary happen not when you're speaking, but when you're listening. Not when you're asking, but when you're receiving. Not when you're performing, but when you're simply being present to the God who loves you beyond measure. Mary herself models this perfect receptivity in her response to the angel Gabriel. Let it be done unto me according to your word. She didn't negotiate, didn't analyze, didn't fear. She listened, received, and surrendered. Your rosary becomes truly powerful when you approach each mystery with this same spirit of receptive love, allowing the grace of each moment in Christ's life to penetrate your own story, to heal your wounds, to transform your weaknesses into strengths. Try this sacred experiment. Tomorrow, when you pray your rosary, spend as much time in silence as you do in speech. After each Hail Mary, pause and listen. After each mystery, wait and receive. Allow Mary to show you not just the external events of her son's life, but their meaning for your personal journey. You will discover that the rosary is not just a prayer you say, but a conversation you enter, not just a devotion you practice, but a relationship you cultivate with the mother who wants to form Christ within you just as she formed him in her own womb. The path of authentic rosary devotion will lead you through valleys you never expected to walk. There will be days when the words feel dry in your mouth, when the mysteries seem distant and abstract, when the very beads in your hands feel cold and lifeless. Do not mistake these moments for failure. They are invitations to a deeper faith, opportunities to prove that your love for Mary is not dependent on feeling, but on choice, not on consolation, but on commitment. The fifth and perhaps most devastating error that destroys the rosary's effectiveness is the error of spiritual inconsistency. You pray fervently when you feel inspired, passionately when you need something desperately, but you abandon this sacred practice when life becomes comfortable or when spiritual dryness sets in. The rosary's true power is revealed not in moments of religious emotion, but in the faithful repetition of love day after day, season after season, through joy and sorrow, through blessing and trial. Consider the great Saint John Paul II, who prayed the rosary every single day of his adult life, even when assassination attempts left him near death, even when Parkinson's disease made speech difficult, even when the weight of leading the universal church seemed almost unbearable. He understood that the rosary is not a fair-weather devotion, but a lifeline that grows stronger with every storm it weathers. Mary's love breaks every chain, including the chain of spiritual mediocrity that accepts inconsistency as normal. Your relationship with Mary through the rosary should become like breathing, so natural, so essential, so integrated into your very being that you cannot imagine life without it. This doesn't happen overnight. It happens through the patient, daily choice to return to those sacred beads regardless of how you feel, regardless of what's happening around you, regardless of whether heaven seems to be listening or not. In this faithful persistence, you will discover that Mary has been forming Christ within you in ways you never could have imagined. The most profound miracles of the rosary happen not in the dramatic moments that make headlines, but in the quiet transformation of ordinary souls who dare to pray with extraordinary love. Your victory may not look like the healing of terminal illness or the prevention of natural disaster. It may look like the gentle death of a long-cherished resentment, the slow blooming of patience in a heart once quick to anger, the gradual strengthening of faith in a soul once plagued by doubt. These hidden victories are precious in God's sight precisely because they require no earthly witness, no human applause, no external validation. When you kneel in your room with your rosary and allow Mary to work her maternal magic on your heart, you participate in the secret revolution that is changing the world one soul at a time. Every Hail Mary prayed with authentic love adds light to a world drowning in darkness. Every mystery contemplated with genuine faith becomes a fortress against the forces of evil. The saints understood this hidden power of faithful prayer. Saint Therese performed no public miracles during her short life, yet her little way of spiritual childhood has transformed millions of souls. Her secret weapon was the Rosary prayed with the trust of a child who knows her mother will never refuse her anything that is truly good for her. She discovered that the smallest prayers offered with the greatest love have infinite value in the economy of grace. Your faithful Rosary may never make the news, but it makes news in heaven. Each time you choose to pray despite feeling nothing, each time you meditate on the mysteries despite spiritual dryness, each time you trust Mary's intercession despite unanswered prayers, you join the ranks of hidden saints who are holding up the world through their secret fidelity. The victory that no one sees is often the victory that matters most. In the depths of Mary's immaculate heart lies a love so vast, so pure, so tender, that human language cannot contain it. This is not the conditional love of human relationships based on performance or worthiness or mutual benefit. This is the love of a mother who carried love himself in her womb, who stood at the foot of the cross and received you as her own child, who intercedes for you every moment of every day whether you remember her or not. When you truly understand the nature of Mary's love for you, everything about your Rosary prayer changes. You no longer approach those sacred beads as a spiritual obligation or religious exercise. You approach them as a love letter from your Heavenly Mother, as an invitation to intimate friendship with the woman whom God Himself chose to be His mother. Every Hail Mary becomes a response to her love. Every mystery a shared contemplation of the God who loves you both. But this love makes demands. It calls you to conversion, to transformation, to the sometimes painful process of becoming who God created you to be. Mary's love breaks every chain. The chain of sin that separates you from God. The chain of fear that keeps you from trusting completely. The chain of selfishness that prevents you from loving as Christ loved. She will not leave you comfortable in your mediocrity because she loves you too much to allow you to settle for anything less than sanctity. Tonight, as you hold your Rosary, remember that you hold more than beads and string. You hold the instrument through which the Mother of God wants to form Christ within you, just as she formed him in her own womb. You hold the key to a relationship that can transform not only your life but your eternity. You hold the weapon that can defeat every enemy of your soul and lead you safely home to the heart of God. Will you allow Mary's love to break every chain that binds you? The moment has come for a decision that will echo through eternity. You now know the 5 errors that have been silently stealing the power from your Rosary, treating it as your prayer instead of Mary's prayer through you, allowing distraction to divide your heart, asking for things too small instead of total transformation, speaking without listening to God's response, and practicing inconsistent devotion instead of faithful perseverance. Knowledge brings responsibility, and you can never again approach the Rosary with innocent ignorance. The choice before you is stark and unavoidable. Will you continue praying a powerless Rosary, going through the motions of devotion while missing its life-changing reality? Or will you embrace the radical transformation that authentic Rosary prayer demands, the death of spiritual mediocrity and the birth of authentic sanctity? Mary waits for your answer, not with impatience, but with the infinite patience of a mother who knows her child will eventually find the way home. Mary's love breaks every chain. Let this truth become the foundation of your new relationship with the Rosary. Begin tonight, right now, with a complete surrender of your heart to the mother who gave her heart completely to God. Pick up those sacred beads not as religious objects, but as instruments of grace. Enter the first mystery not as a mental exercise, but as a portal into the very life of Christ. Allow Mary to pray through you, to love through you, to transform you into the saint God always intended you to be. The errors of the past need not define your future. The graces you have missed can still be received. The miracles that have been delayed can still occur, but everything depends on this moment, this choice. This surrender to the love that has been waiting for you since the day you were conceived in the mind of God. Will you finally allow the Queen of Heaven to unleash the full power of her Rosary in your life? The time for half-hearted devotion is over. The time for transformation has begun. Final prayer. Beloved Mother Mary, I come before you with a heart that recognizes its errors and a soul that longs for transformation. I surrender my rosary to you completely. Let it no longer be my prayer, but your prayer through me. Break every chain that has bound its power, heal every wound that has weakened my devotion, and transform my heart into a worthy dwelling place for your Son. Through the mysteries of his life, death, and resurrection, form Christ within me as you formed him in your own womb. Let your love break every chain that keeps me from the sanctity you desire for me. I trust in your maternal intercession. I rest in your immaculate love, and I commit to faithful perseverance in this sacred devotion for the rest of my